Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus, doing our first Boros burn in the post-ban world of No Moxlipful, No Oko, No Mexin the Last week, we tried out the red-blue version that had previously been pretty good, with things like Ceremonious Rejection and Mystical Dispute in the sideboard. Some of it felt like those cards just didn't have good utility, we didn't have much to bring in matchups. Also, there were issues with sometimes the mana coming together. So part of it was just having normal burn issues of not having enough land drops or having too many land drops, and part of it was just the utility of not using Boros cards. So this week we're back to Boros. This is not my list. This is one of the lists that have recently done well. Unfortunately, the name of the person whose deck list it is escapes me, but they have some interesting choices that I wanted to give a chance to try out. 2 copies of Deflecting Palm, which seem perfectly reasonable in a world with Tron, Amulet, and Through the Breach combo existing. Beyond that, not too fancy with the list. 19 lands, I could easily see 20 here, but kind of the basics we've been running for a while. 3 Skewer, 3 Riftbolt, 3 Skullcrack. Beyond that, you have a bunch of 4-ofs and Goblin Guides with Spear and Eidolon. Nothing too special there. Spike and Bolt, 4 Searing Blaze, 4 Boros Charm, 4 Lightning Helix. You have 3 copies of Core Firewalker here in the sideboard for the Mirror Match, and 1 Roid Prowess, 2 copies of Pot Decks, Alpha Big Creatures, 2 copies of Rampaging Frostodon, I think is a little bit interesting. Helps you to punish both the Amulet decks as well as anything with life gain. Punishes the Amulet decks because a lot of them are trying to both gain life and get a bunch of Zombos into play to end the game if they don't happen to have Amulet, and then Smash to Smithereens because really shouldn't leave home without artifact destruction. There's a lot of random artifacts in the format that can still get you. Anything from Chalice of the Void to Dragon's Claw to if anybody's playing Witchbane Orb or anything like that in their current sideboards, etc. And Wurza decks haven't gone away. As you know, we played Wurza on the channel last week sometime, and the person that was doing that list, I think it was Zach Goldman, continues to chip away at working on Wurza lists. So that said, don't forget, if you like what you're seeing on the channel, as we aim to become the most informative, modern, and pioneer channel there is, please consider subscribing, give us a thumbs up, and leaving a constructive comment down below. We're back for match number 1. Fortunately, we're on the draw here. Should be interesting to see what portion burn plays in the meta. It does annoy me when people queue in here and then take 30, 40, 50 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes to get rolling. Yeah, hand's fine. Double Goblin Guide, plenty of pressure. Choose not to play first. Okay, so Pox. Oh, apparently they just goofed. Once upon a time deck, so could be any number of things. Alright, so Death Shadow. Triggers. Fetch, because you're probably looking for land. Nope, just want the Fatal Push. Interesting. Looks like 4-color Death Shadow, perhaps. So no other opponent has a turn life beyond that. Sure. Just go and bolt them while they can't stub us. Alright. So they're going to 7 at least here. Going to 5. Alright, so basically any burn spell here was lethal. Alright. So, Death Shadow. Definitely want pass. Definitely want palms. Don't want the blazes. Pretty simple in and out. Blaze doesn't tend to kill their creatures, which they're usually Tarmogoyf and Death Shadow as their primary ones. Obviously, Path to Exile clears out the big boys. Deflecting Palm can deal them a huge chunk of damage if they're not ready for it. Not a huge fan of cards in this matchup, as they usually, between discard spells and Stubborn Denials, do have ways to actually deal with it. But, you know, it's better than having Stern Blaze in our deck for the most part. Beyond that, the only other cards you could remotely consider are things like Rest in Peace and Rampaging Frostodon, and neither one of those are particularly great in the matchup, I don't think. Frostodon with Menace may be a little bit better, but they do tend to have a ton of removal, so. And the draw in this game. And it's pretty reasonable. Obviously, a little bit worse for a couple reasons. Number one, our 1-drop probably won't connect with damage, and number two, most of our hand is sorcery speed. So we're not able to play the kind of draw go-ish game that we tend to want to do against Death Shadow. Though the Jund or 4-color version is a little bit different in terms of how you have to approach it. Guessing they'll take Swift Spear or Boros Charm here. Yep. Just represents the most damage, unfortunately or unfortunately. So, because it was at least going in for 1, possibly 3 or 4 before they answered it, because especially if they're like looking to play out a Tarmogoyf here. So they currently have 3 card types in the bin, so yep. So maybe a 4 or 5, so we'd have to 2 for 1 ourselves to kill it. Maybe we'll be able to get lucky and draw a path here. So depending on what their disruption is, we are just flat out threatening lethal next turn. So okay, so they're going to 8 here. Well, taking Boros Charm. Shuts off fetch lands. Nice fetch land, bro. Guess if you have another stub, you have another stub. Sure. All right. So, ironically, our fetching order and or slash cracking that canopy land actually almost cost us that match. So, got a little bit lucky there. Magic's a weird game sometimes. Back for match number 2. We're on the draw again. I don't think our opponent will be. Don't think our opponent will be quite so accommodating and give us the play accidentally. Stands pretty decent with Goblin Guide into a bunch of burn spells. Could get a little bit awkward with these Skewer the Critics. Oh my. Yeah, just got awkward because it's Eldrazi Tron. So hopefully they don't have like turn to Thought-Knot Seer. That would get really rough. Okay, once more time. Just kind of difficult for them to cast. Okay, so they could have Matter of Shaper here, which would be annoying. Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe. That's what they flip, I guess. Walking Blister, sure. Computer is something to note. Don't know their mana particularly. Oh, you're missing a land drop, aren't you? Okay, so go get Eldrazi Temple. Okay, so hit them for... They're on their 4th land for next turn. Were they about to dismember this puppy? They're about to dismember this. Nice. So go ahead and cast that. Spend that and pass turn. Doesn't matter what they take with a Thought-Knot Seer or something, they're just dead here. Okay, so you have Smasherino. Cool. Alright. Little lucky to win game number 1 against Eldrazi Tron. Not gonna lie there. So you bring in Path, you bring in Deflecting Palm, you can also bring in some amount of Smash, because their go-to card against us is Chalice of the Void. So you want to bring in your Artifact Destruction. Obviously, you want to bring in your things that interact with the creatures. The cards that are kind of in the situation are really these 10, plus the Lava Spikes. Blaze, not great. Eidolon, not great, especially on the draw. So I think I'm actually going to go 4 Eidolon, cut 3 Blaze, leave 1 Blaze in, because it can be, there are some spots that can be decent. Eidolon, usually not so much. I do bring in extra removal, and the fact that we're on the draw, plus they're trying to often skip to 4 and 5 mana plays pretty quickly. I think Eidolon on the draw is just a little too slow. And then beyond that, obviously Rest in Peace and Core Firewalker have very specialized matchups there, and the same thing with Cage. Barostodon, a little bit too slow in the matchup, and they don't generally pack a ton of life gain. Their advantage in this matchup comes from being able to play big dumb monsters ahead of curve, and their ability to block us out with Chalice on certain things. This hand is quite nice. Kept a 7, which is scary. Once again, though, they're playing Once Upon a Time version, so the hands are more likely to keep are a little bit more wide-ranging than the colorless version we were playing last night ourselves. So, Adder Shaper, which means they probably, okay. So they're probably on a Tron hand. No Chalice, oh boy. So prioritize getting our 1-drops out of our hand. It's possible I was supposed to leave a Path there for Not Seer. Yep. Yep, definitely. I thought Not Seer. It's possible I was supposed to leave a Path there. So they're kind of priced into taking Path. Pass it back the other way. Hopefully we draw like another land next turn. I guess Chalice on 2 would be extremely annoying here. I thought Not Seer. Delightful. Oh, I see what they're going to do. Cool. They're going to take Skullcrack and then... Oh, alright. Well, I figure you would take the Skullcrack and Ghost Quarter us off the White Source. We're just blocking this turn. There is certain cards they could have that could blow this up if they happen to have Warping Whale in their deck, although I do think the Once Upon a Time version doesn't quite have that option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have access to 5 mana here, so they can't Chalice on 3. They Chalice on 2, just Skullcrack them in response. Feels like a ballista or a. I don't think Warping Whale is a tribal Eldrazi. Cast colorless Eldrazi spells or activate abilities of colorless Eldrazi. Alright, so we got there again. It's kind of a rough matchup. Anyways, we're back for our third match in this league. This hand is interesting. This hand were on the play, it would be an automatic mulligan. Goblin Guide alone is the only spell we can cast without additional help here. I think on the draw, though, I'm more inclined to keep this hand, especially with their opponent going down on resources. 1 to 5, so maybe Dredge or Tron. Usually the decks you find aggressively mulliganing. To be fair, neither one have had a huge presence in the meta. Played against Dredge with E-Tron the other day. So could be Valakut. Okay, it's Dredge. Just curious why you wouldn't have cracked that to it. Oh, just gonna play Shriekhorn, gotcha. Okay. Ox is a little scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess they could Ox this turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would obviously love to draw another land sometime. You know, to hold Skullcrack would be quite nice. As far as sideboard options go, obviously the 2 Rest in Peace and the 1 Cage comes in. Beyond that, not really a whole lot for this matchup. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have exactly enough cards in their graveyard to do that, but then you lose an Amalgam. Kind of a whole lot of decisions our opponent's got to make. Looks like they're going for it. Or they're just conflagging. Pitching loam, imp, sure. Cool. So it does literally nothing the first couple turns, and then yeah, I forgot to bolt them on end step, but they have overwhelming power on the board, so it really doesn't matter. 9, 6, 11, yeah, they're lethal. So, again, talked about how that hand was kind of high risk, high reward. This wasn't even really that high of a reward. Couple Eidolons in. This is just Eidolon period. They're usually not spinning their tires in this matchup. And this matchup's gotten a lot more interesting since the inclusion of that goofy. Yeah, see, this hand just isn't good enough. No graveyard hate, no 1-drops, so no reason to really keep this hand. This hand at least has a 1-drop, but still probably isn't quite good enough. But when you only have 3 graveyard hate pieces, really hard to mull into specifically graveyard hate. The positive note is it does have Skullcrack, which allows us to potentially fight through something like Creeping Chill, depending on their keep, but they did keep a 6-card hand this time. So. Yeah, I think we're just going to Skullcrack then. No sense in getting got randomly by a Cathartic or something here. Collective Brutality would also be a bit of a monster here, and that's exactly what this feels like. Oh, it's Cathartic Green. Cool. Yep. Again, kind of holding up Skullcrack here. Okay. Feels like either Ox or Conflag. So hope to rip a land or another 1-drop burn spell, and hope somehow they don't hit another Cathartic. Which seems moderately unlikely. Since they have the Ox in the yard. Yep. Yep, that's the exact card we had to because now we're dead. We're not dead this turn, but we don't have any combination of spells that can kill them over the next X number of turns. That 3 life was crucial. Because Bolt puts them to 11, Rift Bolt puts them to 8, Skewer puts them to 5, Boros Charm will put them to 1. And they'll be able to present lethal next turn, most likely. So. Yeah, with the other Amalgam coming back. So Bolt the face, see what we draw. So, no blood casts yet. So if they hit a ghast, I mean, we're kind of on some low percentage plays here to win. But we do this. Go ahead. Do I really want to skewer the Ox? Give them a bunch more draws toward Bloodghast. Not really, but, you know, things and stuff. Otherwise, we're dead. Yep. And then. They really bored out their Bloodghasts. Dripping Chill kills us, unfortunately. So we're playing to our outs, but sometimes you just can't beat certain draws and certain cards. So, anyways, on to the next one. Back for the fourth match on the draw again here. 4 landers, no 1-drop, definitely a mulligan. Hand's a little on the dangerous side, but I think we keep back Skullcrack, I guess. Land, please. Land. Okay. Gunga might be the next best thing. Fires of Invention. Okay, now you have my attention. Oh, okay. There are extra turns deck. Gotcha. My deck is really giving me the land's equivalent of the middle finger, isn't it? Yep. Mm-hmm. Alright, so game's basically over here. Cool. Alright. So against taking turns. Probably want the smashes. Could conceivably bring in Graveyard Hate, but seems a little dubious. Bring the 3 smashes for the 3 Searing Blazes, because they might have Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, it's just too slow. And has no lands. I guess we keep. The reason why I say that the hand was too slow is burn spells getting there on like turn 4 or turn 5 just isn't good enough against a deck that's basically a combo deck trying to go off on turn 4 or turn 5 itself. So this is a race, pure and simple. It's gotten a little bit more difficult now that they can kind of start going off a turn earlier with Fires of Invention. Let's just do a bunch of wheel spinning. Nylon's kind of a nice draw here. Could get angered or something next turn, but oh, nope. All right, sure. One. Buddy, draw a card. Sure. Can you combo from here? I was going to say, can you combo here from here without being able to cast any 3 mana or less spells? Once again, as much as I want to complain about getting unlucky in those games against Dredge, game number 2 against Dredge and game number 1, in this matchup, I got equally lucky this game to draw a good sequence of spells. So when you're going to complain about variance one way, you kind of have to recognize it the other way, and being fortunate that you were able to do what you were able to do. This hand is perfectly reasonable. Land's a little unfortunate, but okay. So do I play around exhaustion with Swiss Spear, or do I just like go for hand this turn? I'm gonna just take my 3 and set up for next turn to be as much fireworks as possible. Howling Mine, kind of hoping that's what they cast next turn. They don't want Howling Mine. Interesting. All right. Now I gotta hope they can't go off from there. Sure. Dictate does make it a little bit more likely. Fires of Invention. Yep. What's your follow-up play? Savor the moment. Oh, so good game. See if we have Force of Negation. Alright. Sweet. Alright. So, 3 and 1. One more match. And we're back for the final match in this league. This is the first time we've technically been on the play. Select first. So 1, 2. Sand again is borderline lands issues, but I think it's a keep. Just take extra damage to make sure we have our mana online. Should we draw another land regardless of what it is? Test Shadow variant again, potentially. So some type of Dredge variant. Just gonna play an 04 next turn, maybe. The main part is if we draw a land, we can actually punch through it. Alright, come on, deck. Toss me a bone here, would you? Really? I really hate Creeping Chill today. We're about to get oxed, aren't we? Oh, so they are a Dredge deck. Sure. Hope you don't hit. Creeping Chill? So they're a crowd vine deck with Ox. So instead of the green, they went under Creeping Chill. Well, that was fun. As I said, once again, that calculated risk there. Definitely want to bring these three in. Cards are not great in this situation. Skewer or Riftbolt? It's got Riftbolt in this spot, I guess. Stern Blaze is a little bit better in this situation because, unlike Dredge, they're not a perpetual mill deck. Yeah, hand's fine enough. They spend their first turn thought seizing, then we get to drop an Eidolon, most likely. If they spend their first turn just milling themselves, we get to rest in peace them without much of a consequence. Nothing. I do believe they play Force of Negation in the sideboard, so they concede to rest in peace. Okay. Good to know. So Ox of... It's gotta be a deck that Crab. Crab. So, like, traditional Crab Vine is... It's possible they can't actually cast their stuff, so... I think we just do the thing and hope we get a little bit lucky here. Can I risk this hand? Yeah, I mean, once again, we're kind of at the mercy of drawing a second land in 2 draw steps, so it's possible they brought in things like Path to Exile, not Path, Thoughtseize or whatever. Alright, well, let's just hope whatever their turn involves, it isn't too broken, so pass turn. Okay, certainly a possibility. They got these Vengevines back this turn. I don't know if we're going to be able to recover from that much power that quickly. Or Cathartic? Sure. Yeah. Pass turn, holding Skullcrack up. Really can't afford to play Eidolon right now. penalizes them for casting spells. All right. So we got the 4-1. Feels pretty nice. Feels pretty nice. People are messing with the graveyard decks. Don't forget Graveyard Hate. Didn't really get a chance to bring in Frostodon against any matchups. Everything else was fine. Burn seems to be in a decent place right now, at least regular burn. So take that with a grain of salt. I think if our opponent had gotten the Ox back, that game would have been a little bit scarier. If they had had some way to trigger Revenge Vines, that would have been equally scary. What our opponent was doing was very explosive and very scary, but they obviously can't beat a Rest in Peace, which seems like a problem. It's possible they're supposed to be packing like Force of Negations like the other version did. If you know you lose to a card, you really got to be confident in your deck to. And to be fair, that game 3, they almost did have multiple Vengevines in play. If they would have had another 1-drop, be it Hedron Crab, be it Secret Keeper, be it Citrus Supplier, which I presume was in their list somewhere. So, interesting. Our one loss was to Dredge. We had a very close game 2 that we needed to fade them, hitting a Creeping Chill, and we would have won the game, but they hit the Creeping Chill. Not really a whole lot else to this league. Got to figure out the details of the sideboard. The main deck felt pretty decent. I'm kind of a fan of a lot of what's going on, although given my propensity to get mana screwed in some of these leagues lately, I think I might want to go up to a 20th land for now, but once again, that's issues with just getting mana screwed and being a little results oriented. Maybe I'm supposed to be a little more aggressive with my mulliganing, but I think overall was a fine league and good to get back on the Boros Burn Trail. This has been John for MTG Nexus.